A plastic ball, a small paddle, and a court far smaller than tennis. It hardly looks like something capable of taking over America. Yet around this simple game, America has built restaurants, professional leagues, celebrity investments, and even neighborhood lawsuits over the noise. So why did pickleball spread across America so quickly? The answer may have less to do with sport than it first appears. According to SFIA figures cited in the research brief, roughly 24.3 million Americans played pickleball in 2025, nearly 1 in 14 people nationwide. Over 3 years, reported participation rose by nearly 172%. This was no longer a niche hobby quietly gaining followers. More surprisingly, the court does not belong to one generation. Young adults, middle-aged workers, and retirees can all enter the same game. If this were only easy exercise, people would play and leave. But pickleball makes them stay. That is our first clue. The familiar explanation makes sense. Pickleball grew because it is easier than tennis. The ball is slower, the paddle lighter, and the court smaller. So competence arrives sooner. The rules also reduce the advantage of raw power. Serves are underhand, while the kitchen blocks play dominating right at the net. Beginners can produce a satisfying rally after only a few sessions. They do not need polished technique before the game starts feeling real. Basic equipment is accessible too. You do not need an elite club, a full team, or months of training before your first game. All of that is true. But easy to play explains why people try it. It does not explain why an entire system formed around it. The research brief cites estimates that roughly 40% of players are now under 35. The retirement sport label no longer explains the crowd. By 2026, the database cited in the brief listed more than 82,600 courts nationwide. Demand had turned into physical infrastructure. Some businesses do not merely rent courts. They combine pickleball with food, bars, and group games, turning a match into an entire night out. Professional leagues also attracted money from major athletes and business figures. They were betting on a market, not merely on a game. If ease were the whole answer, why would this game reshape land use, leisure time, and the way Americans meet one another? The first clue is beneath the player's feet. The space used by one tennis court can hold roughly 3 or 4 pickleball courts, multiplying capacity almost instantly. That increases simultaneous players, court turnover, and the number of social interactions a single piece of land can support. The game also lowers organizational friction. A small group, a short time slot, and moderately matched skill are enough to get started. The smaller court creates something tennis offers less often. Players stay close enough to talk during the game, not only after it. The kitchen and slower ball also narrow the gap between strength and skill. Different generations can compete without having equal athletic power. So the real product is not exercise alone. It is social fitness, physical activity, and relationship building inside one repeatable ritual, with the workout and invitation arriving together. In an increasingly digital life, an in-person activity with a schedule and no demand for instant intimacy becomes unusually valuable. A match may end quickly, but the appointment returns every week. Repetition turns strangers into groups and groups into communities. The more people play, the easier it becomes to find opponents, lessons, and nearby courts. That attracts more beginners, creating a self-reinforcing network effect that accelerates local adoption. Cities and clubs respond by converting existing courts. But every new court also makes the sport more visible and easier to try. Businesses noticed an asset more valuable than court fees. Players arrive in groups and often remain long after the match ends. At that point, the match is no longer the final product. It is the reason people enter a space that can sell the rest of the experience. Chicken and Pickle makes the model visible. The courts sit inside a larger ecosystem of dining, entertainment, and community events. Revenue, therefore, does not depend on a single rally. It comes from food, drinks, repeat visits, group events, memberships. The smaller court makes that model practical. Multiple groups can play side by side, creating density, energy, and customers for one venue. When exercise, socializing, and consumption merge into one outing, pickleball becomes a lifestyle, something apparel brands can sell too. Professional leagues are the top layer of this system. They gather audiences, sponsors, and franchises around a community already built at the recreational level. The deeper mechanism is the combination. Less land, less initial skill, more interaction, and an experience that is easy to repeat. Pickleball does not merely sell exercise. It turns the need to belong into a scalable, monetizable community product and gives businesses a repeatable format for delivering it. So the old explanation was not wrong. Pickleball truly did grow because it is more accessible than many other sports. What it missed was how that accessibility addressed three needs at once: space, social connection, and the economics of shared experiences. It is not merely smaller tennis. It behaves like compact social infrastructure, where exercise becomes the excuse for meeting people. That perspective explains why younger players joined, businesses opened venues, and celebrities bought stakes at the same time. But the density that makes pickleball efficient also creates its first cost: thousands of sharp, repetitive pops beside residential neighborhoods. When tennis courts and public land are converted, the player's benefit collides with the neighbor's right to quiet. Let's start with a gentle warm-up. Accessibility has its own paradox. Gentle-looking games still require intense movement. Even the professional leagues show that audience growth does not automatically create a stable business. Scale can arrive before discipline catches up. Its future depends on quieter equipment, smarter sighting, and better habits that teach players to respect their physical limits. Return to that small court and the sound is unchanged. But each pop now marks more than a shot. It signals a social network in motion. Pickleball spread not because it is perfect, but because a small design fit remarkably well with how America now lives, builds, and spends. It made sport feel less like a performance and more like an invitation, then turned belonging into something that could scale.